The insane action U.S. launches new aircraft carrier to sea Hook. A revolution rises on the ocean, but something feels different. In the early morning silence, when the sun rises over the Atlantic and light spills over the world's most advanced warship, you understand instantly why the United States Navy calls it a revolution, not just another carrier. This is the USS Gerald R. Ford CVN-78, a floating city, a nuclear-powered fortress, and the most technologically advanced aircraft carrier ever created in human history. Its launch didn't just make headlines, it shook the global balance of power. And beneath that calm surface of celebration, there was a whisper, a sense that this launch was more than a routine event. This is the story of how the U.S. Navy unleashed a new monster into the sea and why the world is still trying to catch up. HOOK, the giant's physical power revealed and the secrets it hides. Here are the core specifications. Length, 1,106 feet. Displacement, 100,000 plus tons. Top speed, 30 knots, around 56 kilometers per hour. Power plant 2A1B, nuclear reactors. Aircraft capacity, 75 aircraft. Crew approx 4,500, with air wing. Despite its massive size, the Ford can move at speeds that would surprise anyone seeing it for the first time. The USS Gerald R. Ford cost an unbelievable $13.3 billion to build, not including the research and development cost. With R&D included, the total price crosses $37 billion, but the U.S. Navy argues that this cost buys something priceless: global dominance for the next half-century. And whether critics like it or not, the Ford delivers exactly that. What the world didn't know was that these numbers were more than figures. They were warnings. Hook, a new era of naval warfare, and a shift to no enemy expected. Imagine a warship so powerful, so efficient, and so intelligent that it rewrites every rule of naval warfare. The USS Gerald R. Ford represents exactly that moment. It is the first of the Ford-class carriers, a generation designed from scratch to dominate every ocean on Earth for the next 50 years. From its nuclear heart to its electromagnetic flight deck, the Ford isn't just an upgrade, it's a complete transformation. It carries more firepower, more aircraft, and more technology, while requiring fewer sailors. This makes it the most expensive, most capable, and most advanced warship ever built. But to understand why this launch was called insane action, you must understand what this ship can really do, and why adversaries watched it with cold, calculating eyes. Hook, a nuclear heart that never sleeps and never forgives. At the center of the USS Gerald are Ford R-2A1B nuclear reactors, each one more powerful and more efficient than the reactors used in the Nimitz-class carriers. Together, these reactors generate over 600 megawatts of power, which means the carrier can operate for 20 years without refueling. It can run every radar, sensor, and weapon system at full capacity. It has power reserves for future technologies like lasers and railguns, and it can sustain maximum operations in war without slowing down. This gives the Ford a massive advantage: endless endurance. While other navies refuel or slow down, the Ford keeps going and going and going. For enemies, that endurance wasn't just terrifying, it was hopelessness. Hook, the EMALS shockwave, the moment the deck came alive. One of the biggest revolutions on board is the electromagnetic aircraft launch system, or EMALS. Instead of using steam catapults, the Ford uses electromagnetic energy to launch. This single upgrade delivers huge advantages: 30% more aircraft launches per day, less maintenance and downtime, ability to launch heavier and lighter aircraft, greater stealth and reduced vibration. This means the Ford can send fighter jets, drones, and electronic warfare aircraft into the sky faster than any carrier ever made. In a real war, that launch rate decides who controls the skies. And for the first time, the sky felt like it belonged to one side only. Hook, landing power reimagined. Precision in a world of chaos, landing on a carrier is one of the hardest maneuvers in aviation. But the Ford class has changed the game with AAG, a digital energy-absorbing arresting system. It allows more controlled and safer aircraft landings, a wider range of aircraft types, reduced wear and tear, quicker recovery cycles. Combined with EMALS, these two systems allow the Ford to operate at a pace no enemy navy can match. It wasn't just engineering, it was dominance. Hook, a full air force on the sea, a storm waiting to unleash. The USS Gerald R. Ford can operate more than 75 aircraft, including FA-18 Super Hornet strike fighters, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jets, E-2D Hawkeye airborne command aircraft, MH-60RS Seahawk helicopters, F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters, and MQ-25 Stingray drones. This combination gives the carrier a full spectrum of power air superiority: strike missions, surveillance, electronic warfare, refueling, and anti-submarine operations. Wherever the Ford sails, it brings an entire air force with it. And when that air force rises into the sky, it feels less like aircraft and more like judgment. HOOK, built to survive the impossible and meant to face it, even though it is massive. The Ford is engineered with reduced radar signature features. It is not stealth like a fighter jet, but its design significantly reduces the carrier's radar cross-section. Its defense systems are equally advanced, including RIM-162 ESSM missiles, rolling airframe missile launchers, phalanx CIWS, and an SPY-3 radar, offering next-generation tracking and engagement. Combined with escort ships from the carrier strike group, the Ford becomes one of the hardest targets on Earth to attack, and the enemies watching it knew there would be no easy way to bring this fortress down. HOOK automation that redefines power even in the shadows. One of the biggest breakthroughs of the Ford-class design is automation. Through advanced systems and smarter layout, the ship reduces crew requirements by approximately 600 sailors compared to Nimitz-class carriers. This means lower operating cost over its lifetime, more room for advanced systems, faster movement, and safer deck operations. In war, efficiency is power, and the Ford is built for it. A machine that thinks faster, responds quicker, and reacts before the threat even arrives. Hook. A message written in steel and heard across the world because the moment this carrier touched the ocean, the world changed. Rivals like China and Russia studied every inch of it, allies celebrated it, and enemies feared it. The Ford-S launch symbolized the start of a new Iran era where the United States continues to rule the seas with unmatched power, unmatched technology, and unmatched readiness. This ship is not just a carrier, it is a message written in steel, in nuclear energy, and in the roar of fighter jets. The United States is not stepping back, it's stepping forward, and every ocean on Earth heard that message loud and clear.